Yeah, I guess before I get going, just I guess just some credit to CIMIC for bringing us all together here. You don't see this level of influential decision makers that often together in one room. So I think we have real opportunity today to make some great progress. And congratulations to the CAM and CAN Micro teams for the progress on both of those projects. And we've been involved sort of peripherally in them. And I'm really glad that Strathcona Mill ore is one of the ores that is being tested at CAN Micro. That's for sure. So I guess I'm here. This is a really early days on this project, and I think from the title you can see sort of stitched together what we're trying to do. Before I move on, I guess I'd like to introduce the guy who's essentially leading this project, and it's Nick Lazar. And many of you may not know Nick. He's only been in Canada for a couple of years now. He transferred from our New Caledonian operations at Koniambo to XPS. Just a real huge amount of energy, a real champion of process control and automation, and the real force behind this early days on this project. So if you don't know him already, I'm sure his name will become familiar to you in the future. If Adrian used a spray gun, I'm using a turbo spray gun on this particular presentation, but it is a CIMIC project. You see we have the branding with XPS, but it is very much a CIMIC project. We're going to cover a few of these items in the next few minutes, and where we are, and then looking for some feedback and some direction, and hopefully some support on what we're trying to achieve through the course of the effort. So where did it all start? There was a workshop in December of 2018. A bunch of mineral processors together in one room, and I think if you've been in a room with a bunch of metallurgists, the number of ideas and concept is probably up to the cube of the number of people in the room. We managed to prioritize a couple of projects, and CAM and CAN Micro was one of those, or two of those, going forward into the Crush It Challenge. This one had quite a large following. You can see the number of red dots on the screen here. And really it was a desire to make better use of real-time data that was being generated in our plants. And I think if you look at the mining cycle, this project focuses more on mine to mill, but more on the processing side of that equation. And I think we're reasonably good at collecting data. We're just not great at analyzing and turning it into informations for decision making. So we thought the best way to approach this was perhaps bring together our collaborative environment that CIMIC is sponsoring and supporting, and see what we can come up with. There's obviously a real need in our industry, and I think there's a lot of sensors in the field right now. We still need to measure a few critical parameters, but we're reasonably good at collecting the data. Not, as I mentioned, not great at analyzing it. And in terms of cleaning the data and doing error checking and cleansing is another area that I think everyone thought we could improve on. And ultimately, I suppose we could start building digital twins of our plants, but at the very least, start turning some of this data into information for decision making. And I suppose we have some in-house experience so far through Nicholas's work. We've purchased an AI software package that can actually write to the process. And our early experiences in taking large data sets of process data from our PI systems and turning information has been really quite impressive. And I think most of us have sat at computers and tried to do both multiple linear regression and a lot of the other tools that you use to try and statistically create correlations. And some of these algorithms are extremely effective and very, very quickly at defining everything from operating parameters for our operators to run to actually process decisions. So we've really surprised ourselves as how powerful some of these algorithms can be, and it gives us some momentum to sort of move forward on this project. We have several pretty high-profile partners, and you can see them on the list here. And obviously, it's very industry-driven. I guess the thing that we always focus on is what are the needs of industry. So not surprising, the key players, some of them in the room here, Teck, Newmont Goldcorp, ourselves at Glencore and Agnico Eagle, with our partners Cor-Am to sort of put the project structure together. So some of those operations are really keen to participate. We also have some potential partners with Compute Ontario and the Centre for Advanced Analytics, as was discussed earlier on. NRC, McGill, and Goldfields may also want to participate. So I think we have enough momentum now, and really interested in anyone else that may want to participate, may want to provide data, and I could talk about how we want to approach the first and second phase of this project, and maybe we can chat a bit later after the presentation. So phase one is essentially executing a survey to establish how data is collected in our operations. And this came very clearly from the floor during that workshop back in December. And I credit Rob Stevens for continuously moving us towards understanding best practice in our industry. What are we using for collection? What are we using for data cleansing? And then how is the information used? And then sort of collate that as the first phase of the project. Look at where the centers of excellence are, where the best practice is in our industry, and then move to a phase 2, where we start to evaluate some of the algorithms for specific business outcomes from the data sets that we're collecting in our plants. And essentially, we said we'll likely stop there and produce a milestone, but those are basically the 2 steps in the process that we're proposing. It's brand and package agnostic, so there's no requirement to go down a specific path in terms of specific off-the-shelf products. And the other key feedback from our partners at Agnico Eagle is be sure that we understand the change management piece, because ultimately, when these decisions are made, if we're writing to the control system, the operator in the control room has to accept that decision. So we're going to make sure that we keep our eye on that ball as well, because what we want to do is not create toys, but implement actual process solutions in our operations. So both of those being the underlying principles of the project. I guess this is a pretty busy flow chart, but I think if you look at I guess your left or your right, depending on where you're sitting, the phase 1 really starts with a survey, developing best practice, and then moving into an evaluation of some of the algorithms that are currently available to us, both as public domain as well as the the partners' software packages available within the operations. And then I guess Nicholas is extremely optimistic of how we can use that information, and some of those impacts are listed on the right of this slide. Everything from establishing reduced environmental impacts, developing soft sensors, feeding into our existing expert systems and control systems, reducing utility costs, even getting as far as predictive maintenance and improving maintenance and operating time at our operations. So what are the next steps? We're working on writing the questionnaire and being sure that we can put a survey together that's practical and easy to answer and collate the information. And XPS and Core-M establishing project schedule and budget for the project. And I think we also need a CIMIC collaboration charter, I think you call it, Carl, in order for us to continue on the same path. And that's really all I had for this morning. I made the time constraint. So, any questions, comments?
It's very interesting. First phase, at least the surgeon that we're going forward. It was made with the team. It was developed with the team of processing. I'm hoping that what you're going to develop as a protocol for that will be transferable for all the other subgroup of CIMIC. Because it's the same. We've got the same issues with data, and looking at what you've done, I think it's a very, very good start.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. I saw synergies with some of the work at Syncrude as well. I mean, at some point, these projects are going to meet, and I guess we're trying to sort of move some of that effort on into the processing side of our innovation agenda. But obviously, our learnings could be transferred right across the various groups in the CIMIC organization. So that's very important. Yeah.
Other questions for Dominic?
Guess everyone's hungry.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dominic.
Thanks.